Gotcha. Good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk about bass fishing or anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, 18 years ago today, I was sitting in my office at my house in Norman, Oklahoma, about to leave to go to the airport to get on a plane. And, what occurred 18 years ago today, I'm sure it sticks in every U.S. citizen's mind and people around the world. And it's really kind of amazing that it was 18 years ago.
It's crazy. You got people that are voting now that weren't alive when it happened.
Yeah.
September
How old were you?
11th, I was
fancy side.
17. I had just turned 17.
Yeah.
I jumped in the car and went fishing. I think we had this talk every year.
It was one of those days where I sat in my office and I was just mesmerized by the television. And back then, 18 years ago, I had a square TV. Do you remember the square TVs?
The deep box?
Yeah. That weighed about 500 pounds.
Yep.
And, so our thoughts are with people that were massively affected by what went down. I think everybody in America is pretty much touched by this day. So our thoughts are with those direct families that were dramatically affected with everything that took place on September 11th. All right, man, good show today. We're going to have Grae Buck on, one of the best names in fishing. Cool name. And
what are some of the other good names in fishing?
Douglas Stump.
That's a name?
Yeah.
There's a tournament fisherman named Dougie Stump?
Yeah. They're here in Oklahoma, in fact. Moss and Stump. That's a team. You didn't know these guys?
Never heard of.
You're kidding me.
No.
Oh, yeah. They're pretty good here in Oklahoma. Yeah. Douglas Stump. His teammate is, last name is Moss. Moss and Stump.
Not to keep bringing that up, Bassmaster ran the article of the Mike Long deal in the recent magazine. It's on the front there, but they were a team there for a while. Their name was Long Kerr. Kerr and Long. So
now we'll
Kerr,
have to think about that. Some of the best names in fishing, but really excited about having him on. When I was talking to him here earlier in the week, I had no idea, dude. He played collegiate hockey. You and him are going to get along great.
At Penn State, we actually played in the same under the ACHA umbrella, I believe.
Yeah.
Penn State is now a D1 NCAA.
Yeah,
in the Big Ten.
We were trying to get everything set up for Skype, and last night he was actually on his way to playing the men's league that he plays in.
That's what I was saying. Like, I'm years removed from the last time. I mean,
you're talking very soft today.
No,
man.
I'm not.
It's very.
No, I'm saying
using your FM voice
years
again.
removed from fishing or from fishing men's league, from playing men's league hockey. I think the last alumni game, high school alumni game I played in was 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Dude, did you see I got hammered with everybody? Not everybody. There was a
slight exaggeration.
There were several people that said that I was sporting the Tommy Biffle shorts.
Oh, I didn't see that.
On one of the shows this week.
I didn't see that.
I do not own a pair of Tommy Biffle. They might have been right now.
Shorts.
Dude, because look at the shot right now. I guess I got up. Was it the Zaldane show where I got up?
Possibly, I don't know.
And I got the champagne. I think that's what it was. I think that's how they
spotted
my Biffle shorts.
No, I didn't even see
they're
that
not
comment.
Biffle shorts for crying out loud.
You got for a guy with thick skin, you got thin skin on some stuff. Biffle shorts apparently hit you where it hurts.
Yeah, man. I'm just not in that class of clothing. You rag on my clothing enough. And did you notice I'm not sporting Nike today?
This is weird, dude.
What?
This is no joke. I had a dream last night, and I never dream. Like, I dream like maybe once a year that I remember it. God, this is bizarre. I don't even know if I should.
It is time to reflect on Matthew's
but you
dream.
mentioned it with the Biffle shorts. So I had a dream This is no joke, Mark. I had a dream, and from what I remember this was last night that I had this dream.
Okay.
We have Tommy Biffle on the show. And I'm asking him questions, and you're like, this is what happened in my dream. You're like letting me just ask all these questions, like you're kind of sitting back. I remember, like, you know how sometimes you'll push your chair back like this?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you had this look on your face like, okay, I'm going to let him just go down this path. And I start hammering Tommy Biffle on how dumb he looks throwing a spinning rod because he has to fish the Major League Fishing format, and I start making fun of him for trying to catch fish with a spinning rod, and he hangs up on us. I had this dream. I can't make this up, Mark. This is no joke. And I totally forgot about it until you mentioned the Biffle, and I was like, do I want to tell the show or not? But he just goes, and hangs up. And then you kind of come in and you're like, well, what did you expect? And I get this, I remember this in my dream. I get this
wake up?
pit in my stomach like, oh my God, I finally said something I shouldn't have on the show, and now I've got Tommy Biffle really pissed at me. And here's the next thought that went through my head in my dream. Crap, I won't be able to go crappie fishing with him anymore.
And you woke up.
And then I woke up.
Man.
That was a real
This was
dream.
last night?
This was last night for no apparent reason.
You have some issues, Matthew.
I think maybe it was because I was breaking the bass cat in at
Gibson,
Fort Gibson,
and you went by his house
and
or something?
No, I went by the Tommy Biffle Marine dealership,
Yeah.
and I was like, I need to get a fire extinguisher for the boat to be legal, but then it was closed, so I had to go somewhere else. So I mean, we had some Biffle. I don't ask me why, but that was the dream that I had.
Wow.
I made fun of him, and he hung up on the show. Just went boom. He was gone.
Hopefully that will not come true. Dreams will not come true from your dreams there, Matthew, hopefully.
I mean, that's weird, isn't it?
All right, last night, we talk about these all the time on this show. The latest 30 for 30 was on last night. Did you watch it?
I watched the previews for it, and then I didn't know it was on last night.
Dennis Rodman, 30 for 30, and it was pretty good. It was a little overhyped, I think. Dude was messed up. Really was. And I didn't know the exact story of how he ended up, folks, at Southeastern University in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Didn't play high school basketball at all. Got cut. Grew 11 inches in 1 year.
Wow.
And was a janitor at the DFW airport.
Wow.
And somehow, some way, ended up at a junior college, quit that, flunked out. And then one of the Southeastern assistant coaches had seen him play and said, hey, man, I'm going to come and give you an opportunity. And next thing you know, the guy's in the Hall of Fame. But the amount of money and the amount of alcohol that dude consumed and some of the stupidity that this guy did on the basketball court, they did a great job at showing what Dennis Rodman's all about. All about. And his characters... Not his character, but, you know, the whole, do you remember the wedding dress situation and all that? I mean, just...
Was he, like, actually married to Carmen Electra for a while?
Yes. Yeah, he had 3 kids, and he actually has grandkids now. And, you know, the dude got emotional, but the interesting thing was he, like a lot of people, he says, you know what? Everything that I've done, I have nobody to blame but myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't try to put blame on anybody else or anything. He said, look, everything that I've done is because of me. And then I totally forgot that he actually tried a comeback, and Mark Cuban at the Dallas Mavericks actually signed him, and that lasted like 10 days. And he was done. And they even had Cuban make a comment about that whole situation.
Has there ever been a Rodman-style angler? I mean, not talking about Jason Quinn just with the earrings and stuff, but I mean like someone who's
I thought about that last night, and some of the stuff that I think, and this is no comparison, folks, to the name that I'm getting ready to mention and Dennis Rodman, but there were some situations that took place early in his career, and I know you can think of 2, where it might be somewhat Rodman-esque, and that's Mike.
Yep.
Mike and Ellie.
Yeah.
Right? You remember the whole off-limit situation that took place in the Classic?
And then the book with some of the stuff that was in there. Yeah, no, I see
maybe.
that. Yeah, I would say that. The other, Velvic maybe a little bit. I mean, he was kind of into the party scene. He was on The Bachelor.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, they got some good stories. Byron Velvic, Skeet, and John Murray.
Yeah, they do.
I mean...
That would be a good one to sit around the campfire.
That's like Rodman, Jordan, and Pippen.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of cool people in this documentary. I would recommend it. If you're interested in that whole story of how the dude, he's in the Hall of Fame, man. In the Hall of Fame.
You get Matt Robertson on the Elite Series. The guy who won the Weekend Series, the On-'em dude with the water bottles and the fur coat. I mean, I thought it was just a deal for the Classic.
Yeah, somebody just mentioned that. Jim.
That dude is like kind of, I think that's who he is. He's a showman. Yeah. And he catches them. You look what he's done in Kentucky. Like, I've never said a word to the guy.
What did his hat say? I'm on him?
He's got one. He's got 3 now. He's got one that says on him.
Oh, okay.
He's got one that says off him. And he's got one that says MILF Life. And he can sell them all. So now you can buy one when you're on them and when you're off them. But here's the thing. It's like one of those hats. Like, so Seth wears it now. Fighter.
Yeah.
It's like one of those hats where I feel like it's hard to sell it because, it's badass and it's cool, but it looks like you're trying to copy him if you wear it now. After like him and Fighter now kind of have it. Like those are the two kind of like the cool.
Yeah.
Don't really care dudes. You know what I mean?
The fur coat or mink coat or whatever it was kind of out there.
Yeah, definitely, but that was the point.
I get it,
and
man.
He's got the mullet and the glasses and all that. Yeah. But like I said, I thought it was, kind of just a showman for the Classic. Kind of like when Watson made it rain when he made the Classic on Grand Lake. I mean, that was just showmanship. But I think this is who that Robertson guy is.
Yeah.
I think he's just out there. He loves to catch a bass, and he's pretty darn good at it.
The sad thing about the whole Dennis Rodman situation is the dude's still got issues. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like he's got past all of the demons and everything that he has in his life, and it's very, very unfortunate. But the relationship that he had with Chuck Daly, who was the Pistons head coach, when Chuck decided to quit, and that Detroit Pistons team that was so good, the whole Bad Boys crew, that's when he started to lose it, and he lost it, and I don't think he's ever regained it. But it was kind of interesting because they were showing a lot of stuff around Durant. Lake Texoma's right by there. There's a bunch of little lakes around Durant and stuff, and he actually built a relationship with a family that lived, a white family that lived in Durant. And there was a kid there who was in a hunting accident, who was 13, and he actually went to a basketball camp of which him and Rodman struck up a friendship.
Huh.
But when he was going through all the issues that he was going through after Chuck Daly left the Pistons, they just kind of left that family behind, and they spent a good 15 minutes talking about how that impacted Rodman.
And then it just was gone.
And then it was just gone, and he never went back and tried to, look for guidance or anything. The whole Chuck Daly thing, that was kind of the demise of his fall. Because he didn't have a father. His father figure,
Yeah, I figured
Daly was his mentor,
you
dude.
Would be into the 30 for 30.
Yeah, we talked about the whole mentoring thing yesterday.
Yeah,
and Chuck Daly was his mentor. All right, very excited to get Grae Buck on here. And I was going back looking at some of his stats, dude. And the interesting stat is he has, I think, a little bit over 35,000 in earnings from BASS. Obviously, the big chunk of that is with his win, but all of his earnings on the bass side are from 2 events on what lake?
Oneida
Lake. And the guy can catch him, and he really, really struggled in the first 2 events in the Eastern Opens this year, and then got to his body of water and smashed him pretty good. So it got me thinking, and after we have him on, if we have time, I want to talk about this. We kind of mentioned it before the show about, is it better to go through the ranks and just kind of take your way very slow in building your confidence and building your experience level, that if you do want to do this game at the highest level, that you take your time? Or is it better just getting thrown into the fire and go, screw the BFLs, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to spend a ton of money and fish the Opens or the Costas? And
if you
go
look
down
at
that
it, he's
path?
done it right, because he obviously went to college. I assume he graduated. I don't know. We'll just say he graduated.
Yeah.
Then he fished a bunch of BFLs, like the whole Northeast Division, and like consistently kind of getting better fish. 1 year as a co-angler. Then, he made the All-American in 2016. So now he's proved that he's good there. Then he fished the FLW series in 16, 17, and 18. And then he fished the FLW Tour so far in 17, 18, and 19. So you want to talk about a guy who has climbed the ladder and he hasn't lit the world on fire, but he's got $200,000 in earnings over on the FLW side, and has 3 years under his belt.
And he won that regional. He won the BFL regional.
Which was like 65,000,
5,000,
and then he took the jump there. So he's waiting until he has success, and he moved up to the Costas, and he moved up to the Tour.
So we'll get into that after we have him on.
Yeah, and he's gotten better. He was 53rd this year on the FLW Tour. He had a top 10. He made right around $50,000 in it.
Seems like a cool dude
with
though.
the Open. So his tournament earnings this year between that and the Open, he's up around 85, 90 grand.
Yeah,
not bad.
Not bad.
And a win, a trophy.
Yeah, got a little hardware. All right, we're gonna take a break. Big story yesterday in bowling, Matthew, and we're going to talk about it next week because I have to mention it. That comparison between bowling and fishing, we're going to talk about it next week.
Did you ever figure out that dude's the first $1 million?
Yeah, it was Don Carter.
It
I was
was
right. Yeah, you didn't Google that up?
No, I forgot to Google it.
Anyway, the PBA yesterday, it was
what?
announced, the PBA, Professional Bowlers Association.
That's the top level.
Yeah, was purchased by a company called Bolero. And Bolero, Bowlero.
Was it a subsidy of Bolero?
No, is the largest proprietor bowling center ownership in the nation.
Does this affect the Fox deal?
No.
Is this a good thing for him?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
They're going to go to
people.
They're going to go to total pins instead of games.
No. It's funny you should say that, but there is some concern about them having so much leverage and so much power in the bowling world that a lot of people are wondering how this is going to affect the PBA. Kind of, we've seen that a little bit before about, how much influence that
you look back at the history
Johnny Morris is going to have on fishing.
Every ESPN 8 the Ocho sport that's ever existed, I think pretty much everyone goes through this. I mean, like I said, the last show, I named like 6 sports or competitive activities, whatever the heck you want to call them, that have gone through ownership change, massive, and even mainstream stuff too.
Yeah.
I guess that's just the evolution.
News, man. Big news. The guy's a billionaire that owns Bolero, so a lot of similarities.
A billionaire from bowling, or a billionaire who liked bowling and then started?
He's always been involved in bowling. Self-made billionaire. Pretty cool story. So we'll see, man. It is big news and a lot of discussion taking place, kind of like what we have going on in the wonderful world of professional fishing. So we're going to take a break, come back with Mr. Buck right here on a Wednesday. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Serious about catching fish, that HDS is a dead giveaway. You've got the best fish finding sonar money can buy. Time to build the ultimate fish finding system with live sight sonar. See what your lure is doing in real time. Watch fish strike as it happens. See for yourself. Take the Live Sight Sonar 30-day challenge. If Live Sight Sonar doesn't help you find and catch more fish, send it back, no questions asked.
John got the G Finesse series.
In my opinion, the G Finesse series is the only lineup of hooks you need for any fishing you do.
But I know a lot of guys haven't used this hook yet. G Finesse series has the nano coat on the hooks. The nano coating makes the hooks sharper, smoother for a better hookup ratio.
20% stronger than black nickel. Wow, that is incredible. That's a lot of strength. My Gamakatsu G Finesse series, perfect finesse fishing for you.
Check out the G Finesse series of hooks by Gamakatsu.
Guys, Gerald Swindle, Sunline Pro Staff. If you're a flipper, a slackline hook setter, you're really putting a lot of impact into your hook set, look for the shooter. It comes off the smooth, really smooth. Like when you're flipping, it is smooth. If you're gonna be drop shotting and cranking, sniper's the deal, man. It seems like it's a little bit less likely, like on a sharp hook set, it doesn't seem like it likes it as much. But for coming off the spool on spinning rod, leaders, cranking, like if I'm gonna throw a big plug at Guntersville, I've still got strong tensile strength. It's not gonna give out on me, but yet the line's thin enough it'll get down. So to me, shooter takes a hook set, snipers for everything else. So if you're gonna slack line them, go shooter.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
Blue Water by TH Marine, offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
Hey guys, Cliff Perch here with AFCO. I've got the new camo hooded reaper. It's going to be a great thing both for fishing and hunting this fall. I can tell you a couple of the features about it. Got the face mask like all the reapers do, vented in front. It's got the fleece on the inside, so it's really comfortable. It's super warm. When you come down to the pocket, it's got this little snap system called Block Tapey, and it's silent. You know, it doesn't make that sound that other snaps and other systems that hook it together make. Great for hunting, and it's going to keep that stuff in your pocket.
I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves, could even be a hurricane. I got my power pole down.
All right, we are back closing out the week here on a Wednesday. You got big plans this weekend, Matthew?
I'm fishing all day, every day.
That's a good thing.
You follow. I was going to go to Tenkiller. That's off the list now that the Elite Series is going there.
Well, I'm kind of excited. You know, I had talked about it on previous shows, how I wanted to see how those guys were going to attack Fort Gibson with the water up this time of the year, typically a stingy Lake Fort Gibson.
Mm-hmm. It would have been interesting. But for Tenkiller?
Now I'm thoroughly intrigued with that, too.
Christie's been out on Tenkiller.
Has he?
Yeah.
Through
Or
his social
at some
media?
point, yeah, through his social media.
Yeah.
I think they're going to catch him flipping.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They're going to catch him flipping. I mean, the water's up there, a little bit of color in it. I think smallmouth are going to play with the top water down lake early in the morning, especially if we hit like a little bit of a cool and get some breeze.
Oh, it's going to be awesome to see how they dissect.
But it also
It really is.
wouldn't surprise me if there's some guys that are in the top 10 that fish on the final day that have a couple of 13, 14-inch spotted bass in their bag.
I could see that happening.
Like, just to get them over the top.
Yeah.
Just
I
to
could see
fill
that.
out that limit.
Yeah.
It's either like going to be, I think, really tough or really good. And it'll be interesting to see how dispersed they are. I think the high water would help disperse them.
Yeah.
And how much homework the guys do from when the college national championship was there and how those guys caught them. Because there were some interesting things with some heavy metal that came into play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some brush pile stuff. And then how well does Luke Palmer know that?
Yeah.
Tenkiller, where's he from?
McAllister,
Yeah, how
kind
far
of
is
that
that?
area. It's,
I mean,
a couple hours.
Yeah, he's had to fish that. Not
Yeah.
as much as Fort Gibson, but that.
Yeah.
And then Dale Hightower, too. But for the rest of it,
Yeah.
as Aldan said, he'd been there 2-3 times before.
Yeah.
Or once before, I think.
Yeah.
But for the rest of those guys, that's
We'll see.
that's a
We'll
pretty
see.
that's a new fishery.
Yeah, we'll see.
And it's not that big.
No. Guys are going to be crowded. There will be crowds in certain areas.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Will schooling fish play?
Maybe. But I would say no.
No.
No. I would say no. We'll see. Really, really intrigued. All right, it is time to go to our special guest today. Got it done on Oneida Lake. And Matthew, hardware, check. Those two things are a good thing.
Yeah, he's gotten several trophies this year.
Yeah.
And several checks.
Yeah, has been dominant on Oneida Lake and sounds like a really interesting guy. So let's get him on the show. Grae, you there, man?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. How you guys doing?
All right, really good. Let me get you queued up to where everybody can see you on the Sky feed. Man, busy time for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been super busy this past week between the open win and buying our first house on Monday. My wife and I, now I'm running up to the Thousand Islands to go fish a BFL up there. So it's been a little bit of chaos, but thoroughly enjoying all of it right now.
Is there anything like signing all the documents that you have to sign when you buy a house and closing?
It just keeps going.
I know.
Nonstop paperwork. You know what the funny thing is? That BFL win that I had the Friday night before it, I was we were negotiating for the house all day while I was practicing on the water, and then we're signing documents all night. I was up till midnight that night before the BFL, just trying to get everything situated. So it's funny how it worked out with both of those things coming up before the BFL and the open win there.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, I want to jump right in and ask you right off the bat, the win that you had, the BFL win prior to the open, and with all the experience that you have on Oneida Lake, after you got that win, what was the thought process that you were going through going into the open?
I knew the general areas that those fish were living in at that point, and it was just a matter of kind of dialing in exactly where they were moving to. The water temp actually dropped about 10 degrees from the beginning of August to the beginning of September there. It was 84, and it dropped down to like 72, 73 for the open. So it slid those fish from that 8 to 12-foot range a little bit shallower in that 6 to 12. And instead of keying so much on the perch fry and gobies, they started to actually switch over to that fall pattern where they're eating shad there. So I kind of changed my bait color up for that Cornerstone Baits shimmy shot. I went from it was called Tennessee shad, which is very green pumpkin-y looking, to Ghost. So it was just mimicking that forage a little bit better and just I was able to catch more fish, I think, because of it.
You spent a lot of time on Oneida leading up to the Open. We talked about the BFL, but then you also participated in Kurt Dove's pro bass camp, taking high school kids out. You know, I do the Amistad, one of the weeks down at Amistad every year, and Kurt kind of expanded it. I think he had 8 campers up there at Oneida the week before the Open. Do you think all that additional time on the water helped? Because I talked to a lot of guys that I know that fished it, said Oneida was a little funky this time around, and you see those weights. Typically that 15 to 17 is kind of where everybody lives, and then someone will have an 18 that'll separate them a little, but like those 15 to 17 is what got the job done for you this week or last week.
Yeah, no, my goal going into this tournament was just to catch 17 something every single day, and I thought I'd have a shot at winning it. The only wild card up there is those largemouth. So when somebody goes and catches a couple 5-pounders, it really bumps them up. You can't catch a 5-pound smallie, and I specifically target smallmouth when I go there. I don't even look for largemouth. It's just not my style. But that pro bass camp, it definitely helped give me some time on the water that week before, because I wouldn't have gone up for an extra 3 days like I did. And the bite changed a little bit. It was interesting because they were catching them real shallow that week. In that pro bass camp, the kids were throwing chatterbaits like crazy, which I've never done up at Oneida, and they were hammering them on it, like 4s and bunch of 3s, and that bite completely died off. I don't know what happened to it, but that also kind of keyed me in that they were starting to eat shad more to get that color change in my drop shot.
That's weird because we had Dean Sylvester on, the Australian who finished second. He caught all his fish on a chatterbait.
All right, well then my
in the tournament is just crazy. First and second on that, but that's really cool. Did the second place? You were trying to track down Andrew Upshaw earlier this year on the FLW tour at Cherokee Lake. And I know you have a win in the BFL regional before, but being that close in that big tournament, finishing second there, did anything you learned on that kind of help you close the deal on Oneida this week?
I don't know necessarily, because that was a spawning bass tournament, and that was just a matter of finding new ones each day. This was kind of we had crazy weather up there. The first day it was completely flat. The second day it blew really hard out of the east, and we had like 2-3 footers out there that you had to kind of try to stand in, and because there's no protection on that lake for the most part, unless you can really tuck back in the bay, which that's not where I was catching the smallies. I was catching them on the main lake itself. And then the last day it actually shifted back to the west, so it was just kind of, you had to refine fish each day, and I caught different groups in each part of the lake, depending on where that weather and wind was blowing into.
All right, Grae. If you've watched this show, I don't know how many times you have, or if you have it any. Matt, he always refers to me as Negative Nelly. But what I like to do is I like to actually try and learn from people's experience, and I think the fans do also. Your first 2 events in the Eastern Opens at Chick and then at the James River, dude, you didn't do so well. I mean, 121st, 168th. What was your mindset going into Oneida after that? And did you have so much confidence, because obviously the success that you've had on Oneida is unparalleled? Was there any mental hangover? Because let's face it, you didn't really perform that well in the first 2.
No, absolutely not. It was we actually had a Harris Chain tournament before that, and I was in, I think, 58th there, so I just missed the cut for the check there. And I knew at Chickamauga I needed to really jump up and have like probably a top 20 finish to get back in the Elite Series race for the points. And I don't have a whole lot of experience ledge fishing, so I wanted to really take that week and try to learn how to do it. And I had some success in practice when they were pulling current, and then they stopped pulling the current, and the tournament I kind of bombed in it. I caught some little ones. The James River, I had the bites in practice, and it just never happened when I ran down to the Chickahominy there in the tournament. So it kind of is what it is, but the entire reason I signed up for the Opens this year was to fish Oneida and have that shot at the Classic. So it didn't affect my confidence at all. Like I knew where I was going. I had my 2 areas that I didn't even practice on them, that I knew I was going to catch some fish in the tournament. Yeah. And I got day 1, I caught them off one area, and day 2, I caught them all off the second area.
So it was like a win. Anything less than a win was a big disappointment for you here.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be honest. You could say that.
5, but yeah, no, I wanted to win. That was my entire mindset going into this.
Yeah. Why are certain guys, I mean, Jamie Hartman, it seems like there's that kind of part of New York and that part of the country where, like, if you're good there's like 5 or 6 lakes that you're like always good on, and those guys are always in the top 10. Is there like just a formula that you guys have figured out that you can just apply to all these kind of natural lakes and boom, you just beat everyone on it?
I think it's just that when you figure out how they set up on each one of these natural lakes, they don't change a whole lot year to year, and you're able to kind of run, even if you're not catching the exact same areas, you're able to find similar rock areas that they get on. So it's just, they're fun to catch. You just go spend a lot of time up in New York doing it.
I spent vacation in New York this year, man, and actually fished on Oneida Lake with one of our.
What'd you catch? Drum?
BTL. I caught a drum.
Walleye?
Walleye.
Smallmouth?
Bunch of smallmouth.
Largemouth? No,
did not. He
perch?
did, but I didn't. Yes.
Rock
perch.
bass?
Yeah. It was a fun trip, man. One of my favorite places in the entire country is New York. And I talk up New York all the time, man. It's just a special, special place.
My problem is every time I go to Oneida, I end up yellow perch fishing. I'm obsessed with yellow perch fishing, and like Oneida has really good yellow perch. And then I like yellow perch so much, I've even been tempted to keep them out of Onondaga, knowing it would shorten my lifespan by 10 years. That's how much I like yellow perch.
That's crazy. All right, Mike in New York wants to know, do you believe the algae bloom caused the fish to leave your area or just shut them down?
The funny thing is, with that, the BFL, I had caught them really well in this one area, and I went there for the open practice, and the algae bloom had blown in there, and they were not there anymore. And I figured that out over the last probably 2-3 years, that if that algae bloom is green, looks like basically spray paint in the water, those fish don't bite as well. I don't know if it's just a matter of not being able to see the bait, or if they're actually just not there, if it affects like their breathing and they just get out of there.
Here's a question I've got, and you would know this. Why don't do any of you guys put brush piles out in this stuff? I mean, I think of all these lakes at the grass edges in Oneida, but like I look back, are there even brush piles around? Do the fish hang out around it? Do you go to jail if you put a brush pile in?
They have sunken boats is what they
yeah,
have.
I know, but what's the deal with like brush piles up there? I've never heard of anyone talk about that, and I'm not saying you did. I'm just asking, do they even exist?
I've done a lot of idling on that lake, and I've got like 2 laydowns I found out in like 12 foot, and I didn't put them there, but I actually caught one off it this year in the tournament. It was like a 2 3/4. It didn't help me, but there's not many brush piles. I don't believe New York actually lets you put them in there. I think that's against the law there.
Some states are like that.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And everything else. Remember when Harold Allen tried to bring a knife into New York?
Yeah, Mike in
That
New
didn't
York.
go well.
Yeah, Mike in New York is saying it is illegal to do that.
Okay.
Can't do it in New York.
Those fish like rock anyway.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now, man, you attended Penn State University, and you played a little hockey.
Oh yeah, I've played hockey since I was 5. I've grown up. I wanted to play hockey. I wanted to be an NHL player. That was my life dream growing up. And then when I got to Penn State, like I played for the club team, and it was fun. But that was when I kind of realized high school, I realized the whole NHL thing wasn't happening. So I started focusing a lot on fishing at that point, and I've had some success doing that as well.
Yeah, the pipeline of ACHA players to the show is rather slim, as in I think 0, maybe 1.
Yeah.
I think there's been like 1, and he like got kicked out and had to come down and play the ACHA for a year.
There's a kid we played at Ohio State the one time. They got kicked off the D1 team there.
He went down to play club.
And he could do whatever he wanted against us.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good route, though, because you can still fish. Did you fish for Penn State, too?
I did.
Yeah, so the club hockey is a good route because, A, you get to play more games than you do if you go through the clearinghouse. B, you can drink on the weekends, even though it's not like a NCAA. Let's be honest. You can. You could do that. And then C, you could actually fish and do stuff like that. I mean, like I know I played at OU, Oklahoma, and I mean, I missed a weekend for the college national championship fishing team. Now I went from first line to third line and never got back, but I mean, it was cool that I could have those two things kind of simultaneously, be able to fish and play hockey for 3 years here at OU.
Yeah. So is this what you want to do man?
That's what he is doing. He's been on the tour
Hang
for
on,
3
hang
years.
on.
He's
I
making
mean,
money.
eventually get to, the FLW Tour, the Elite Series, the, maybe Major League Fishing. Who knows? I mean, what are kind of your long-term plans in this game?
Yeah, I fished the FLW Tour the past 3 seasons, so I'm getting more and more established. Sponsors are kind of getting settled in here where I'm able to make a living and not work as much as I had to before. My dad also has a landscaping company, so when I'm home my first year, I was working like full time. I was digging holes, planting trees, and now it's like kind of here and there. Not want to say when I want to do it, but it's when I have time to do it. I'm able to focus a lot more on my fishing, which is making me better. It's having that time. It's just, that's the biggest key there.
What's the biggest part of your game that you really, really feel confident with, and what's the biggest thing that you need to improve on?
I'm confident anywhere we go that have smallmouth bass. I feel like I can catch them. If they can play in a tournament like Cherokee, for example, I'm going to go catch them, and that's what I want to do. Down south, those big reservoirs where there's no grass in it, that's my biggest weakness for sure. It's kind of trying to break them down. I never fished south of Virginia before the tour, basically. I fished a couple Virginia tournaments in, I guess, when I was at Penn State at Smith Mountain, but it's just a completely different animal. So I'm starting to get a handle of it, but trying to break down those giant, like a creek could be as big as one of our lakes up here. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's surprising, and we talk about that a lot. It's surprising how many, and Seth Feider's also a prime example of that, of how many of the guys that are up north that fish that grass, qualify for FLW Tour, Bassmaster Elite Series, and then it's like a completely different world down south, whereas there's the guys down south who it's a completely different world for them up north. And just because of, time and where the tournaments are and money, there's not a whole bunch of guys who are really confident north to south when they get on the tour. There's like a thrown into the fire learning experience that occurs with a $5,000 entry fee attached to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a high stakes gamble, it seems like, but I think if you can get through those first couple of years, it's definitely, I'm able to break those lakes down a little bit better now, and I'm sure it'll just keep getting better and better.
Do you work with any other guys on the tour who might you can help them up north and they can help you south?
Well, that's kind of a problem I have too. My travel partner is Matt Becker. He's from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I've known him for 5 years, but he doesn't fish down there either. So we gotta have similar strengths. We started rooming with Wes Logan this year, so that's kind of helped a little bit. We run and we work together well, so it's been a good kind of relationship for us.
So, because of what you just said, are you planning on spending some time down south? Maybe take 2-3 weeks and just go to several bodies of water down south and try to improve your game?
Yeah, I try doing that in pre-practice a lot of times. I'll go down and spend 2-3 days at each lake if I have not been there, and just a lot of it's idling time, but I also fish a little bit when I'm there, just try to get a lay of the land, and it would help for sure. It's just time's always the hardest part to find.
You said you're going to fish the BFL now? You're headed to another BFL?
Yeah, I'm headed up to St. Lawrence. We got the super tournament up there Saturday.
I'm always jealous of the guys who fish the Thousand Islands, because it's like a vacation is it hard? I would think it'd be hard to go tournament fish for those smallmouth, because your day would just be gone because it's so fun just to be up there.
Yeah, well, the problem up there is practice. You end up idling so much trying to find the schools of them. You don't even get to really fish that much in practice. It's kind of working. And then the tournament's the fun part, when you're like, I get to go actually see how big all of them are and see how many are really down there.
Oh, you don't have to mess around with the Johnson brothers this weekend because they're in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's a smart move right now.
That's 2 places higher I'll finish. That's
a smart move. Jamie Harmon too. Yeah, all those guys that would have stayed up there. You're going in with guns blazing.
Yep.
All right, man. That's very, very cool stuff. Now, did you take the check to the bank yet?
I took it yesterday.
Any response from the teller?
Not that much. There's not a whole lot of people that know what fishing is up where I live, so I think he saw it was a big check, but he didn't really put 2 and 2 together.
But you have a $30,000 one earlier this year too, right?
Yeah, I did.
And you've had what did you get for the regional? A boat and a truck, or was that a check too, or?
That was I got 20 grand, and they gave you a boat that I sold. I think it was like valued at like 45.
Was that kind of the things that like kicked things off for you, like that win that allowed you to just be like, all right, let's go do it?
Absolutely. So I graduated from Penn State with an environmental science degree. I worked for a pond and lake management company out of school for 3 years, and I was fishing the BFLs. And my first year, I won a super tournament, actually up on the Thousand Islands here. And then the second year, I won that BFL regional, which let me basically quit my job. I'm like, I'm going to see if I can actually fish for a living. And I had that 60 grand basically set aside, fished the coasts and the Northern Opens. I qualified for the tour through it. And then going into that tour year, I still had about 60,000. I was like, I have enough for 1 year. Like if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll go back to work. So that money has not run out of my fishing account yet. So I get to keep going it.
All right, man.
It's good stuff. That's the way to do it.
Absolutely.
College, BFLs.
I know I touched on it a little bit. You know, you're on the tour. Obviously, a lot of guys that fish the Opens, they want to try and qualify for the Elite Series, and now you have the Major League Fishing, PPT. I mean, which one of these in the future do you want to be a part of, or are you just going to take it day by day and whatever's out there for you?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of day by day at this point because we don't really know what's going on with the tour and BBT and that whole situation. And I think right now the Elite Series would fish the best for me. Just schedule-wise, I would get a northern swing out of it. That's the tough part about the tour is that we get one tournament up north, and then we're fishing against everybody in their, like, basically their home bodies of water down there in Tennessee and Alabama, it seems like.
Yeah. All right.
I'll ask it. Obviously, we have had Duckett on the show who said some stuff about, like, you're an FLW Tour pro. You got buddies that are on it. Is everyone over there on the tour? What are you guys talking about from the tour anglers? I mean, is it kind of chaos? Are you looking forward to the schedule that's been released that starts in January of next year? I mean, is there a lot of chatter going on amongst the anglers?
Oh yeah, it's chaos right now. Nobody knows what's actually going on. There's people saying it's going to be 30 people on tour. There's people saying it's going to be a full field. Like it's all over the place. We don't know for real. We kind of just have to take it day by day. And when they announce what's going on, we'll kind of go from there. But I'm just hoping to have somewhere to fish next year.
There you go.
There you have it. All right, man. Congrats on the win. Great trophy.
Yeah, thank you.
Got a nice fat check.
Yeah, you got it. Oh, there it is. Very nice.
I've been carrying it around everywhere. I'll show anybody that's willing to look at it at this point. I actually took it to the hockey rink last night and showed all my buddies.
Oh, very nice.
Wow.
You guys carried around the ice like the cup?
Oh, it's too bad they couldn't drink out of it.
Yeah. We got to talk to Big Dave. He might be able to get a cup of some sort to affix to the top of the fish.
That'd be funny. All right, man. Thank you so much for taking time out, and good luck this weekend with what you got going on. And hopefully, man, we can have you on the show once again.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you guys want me, I'm more than willing to do it. I had fun.
All right, man. Great job. We will talk to you soon.
All right.
All right.
See you later.
There you have it. Grae Buck. And interesting final comments by him. You know, the whole, it's kind of chaos right now.
I thought that was a fair question to ask him, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, you don't want to live in rumor and conjecture, but based on what Duckett said on the show and stuff, I mean, you know, the guys have to be going, well, what the heck's going on? They just want, this is what it is. This is what it'll be. This is what, and which is what it is right now. So, but I mean, is there anybody that's more confident that when you roll up to a tournament with the trophy from the last tournament strapped into the front seat next to you?
That's pretty funny.
Because there's going to be someone who pulls up at the Thousand Islands boat ramp there and looks over, and there's Grae Buck's truck with the trophy strapped to the front seat. And go, great, I got to beat this guy.
Yeah.
What have you ever done with the trophies you've won? You ever taken them anywhere? You got a couple right back there. Not the Elite Series.
No.
You got some of your own
no,
from.
That's not mine. I don't know. They're kind of just straggling around. I got a box of them somewhere.
Oh, you have a box of trophies.
Yeah. Bowling. I mean, they're all bowling trophies. They're not.
You never
trophies.
won a bowling trophy and then took it to the bar and slammed it down on the bar and said, "Here's your round."
No. I think at one time I had over like 200 trophies.
Wow.
They were just
participation, or you won that many?
This is back in the day when you had to earn it, Matthew. So
you've won
back
that
in
many?
the youth bowling days,
yeah.
and
were you
and all
dominant?
that. It was
Were you be honest? Were you a dominant bowler in California?
yes.
For you,
When I was a kid.
like when you
Yeah.
showed up, people would go, "Crap, there's that Ginger Jeffries."
No, there
we're
was a group.
bowling for second.
No, it wasn't like that because there were so many guys and players that were good. It was this defined group of people that knew that they were good, and everybody else knew that they were good. You know, it was like anybody can win at any time, but there's a core group of people.
It's like that group of guys who talk at the BFL.
Yeah. Scott from Indy, he said, hey, man, don't forget about the mentor story, the bowling mentor story that we mentioned yesterday. I'll say it just real quick. The whole way, and I don't know how you got introduced to fishing, but, you know, we hear Major League Fishing talk a lot about the reason that we're on CBS and the reason we're doing what we're doing is we want to get more people involved with fishing. Well, the whole reason that I got involved in bowling was back in the day, we didn't have cable. We couldn't afford cable. Cable was just coming out. We had 4, 5, and 9, and that was it. And back then, on my little 12-inch black and white TV that we had, the PBA Tour was coming on. And I was
Wide World of Sports.
I was turning after Wide World of Sports, and I was turning the knob, and bowling was on. And I stopped and I watched it, and I turned and I looked at my mom and I said, "Can we go do that? I want to go try and do that."
How old were you?
Like 7.
Okay.
Yeah. And she looked at me and she goes, "Okay, I'll see what I can find out." So we showed up that next Saturday. I guess she made a phone call or something. That next Saturday to a bowling center in Lakewood, California called Cal Bowl. CALBOWL.
You're 7.
I'm 7.
Never bowled before.
But I was a freak of nature at 7. I was like 5 foot. Yeah. You know, so they had no idea. They didn't even ask me my age. So I go up, and the lady that ran the youth program there, her name was Mrs. Dinwiddie. That was her name. And nice old lady. All right. She looks at me and she goes, "Well, here's what we're going to do with you. You need to go down to lane 15 and 16, and I'll be down there in a few minutes." Here's what I did, Matthew. It was youth league going on. They were already bowling, and she told me to go down to 15 and 16. I go down there. I look at these guys. I just walk up to where the balls are on the ball return, pick up somebody else's bowling ball, go up on the approach, walk down there, and throw it.
Like,
not my turn. I mean, just interrupted everything. And I don't remember the dude's name. He just ripped me a new one.
Ooh.
I ran back to my mom.
Crying?
Started crying.
Aw.
And was just an absolute mess.
Aw.
Get me out of here. Take me home. I don't want anything to do with
This
this.
is the first time I've ever legitimately felt bad for you.
Yeah. It was a bad situation. So Mrs. Dinwiddie came over to me, said she was sorry. She goes, "You come back at 11:30. I had no idea that you were 7 years old. You need to come back and bowl with the
7-year-olds.
With the 7-year-olds." I was like, okay. So I came back at 11:30. Tears were away, and that was the first time that I had ever bowled. Actually, the first time was when I just walked up there and chucked it. And the look on these kids' face when I did what I did, I mean, that was insane what I did. But that's how I got introduced.
But then
and
that dude was with the youth.
He was with Bob Manus, who was my mentor, was with the younger kids. And Bob was my coach all the way up until the day that I left Oklahoma and came back to go to the University of Oklahoma. And I'll say this, and I don't know if I've said this before, and I know we're kind of off base, but one of the greatest memories that I have, Matthew, is my best friend in California that I grew up bowling with. His name was Paul Morella. Paul Morella spent the night at my house, and we bowled league on Saturday mornings. And I told Paul that night I had bunk beds. All right. And he's sleeping on top. I'm sleeping on the bottom. And I tapped on the bunk bed and I said, "Dude, I'm going to bowl 300 tomorrow. It's my last day in California. It's my last time that I will bowl in California. I'm going to bowl 300 tomorrow." And he just started cracking up. We show up to league. Bob obviously is there. And the very first game out of the blocks, I bowled 300. And Bob was the first one after I had my 12th strike. Bob Manus was the first guy that came up and he gave me a big bear hug and said, man, I'm so proud of you and I'm going to miss you.
Where are your pins? You need to put a pin
they're
back.
over there.
You need to put a pin. Can I get one real quick to show?
No, it's way up there. No, we'll do it later.
No, just to show.
I mean, I'm getting kind of emotional, and I'm sure
no,
people
but it's
are
big
laughing
because of
at
the
me.
mentor. Because you don't think about it. Like life happens, and all it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like one.
He was my
key
guy,
person.
man.
No, I was the
he
same.
was my guy.
Same way in
And
fishing.
When he passed away, and when I didn't get a chance to enjoy that moment with him. Because I was on a plane that afternoon.
You gonna dedicate your first senior win to him?
Nah.
Dedicate your first senior PBA win
That'd
to
be
him.
cool. And I think I mentioned on the show, he retired. He moved to Arkansas. He bought a pontoon boat, and he lived right by Lake Dardanelle and loved to bass fish. And I never got a chance to go fishing with him. I always wanted to. We tried, and things just didn't work out. But yeah, man, he was the dude. And that last day that I bowled in California, I bowled 300, and it was emotional. I mean, I got a kind of a little tear right now.
Dude, you're getting back in the bowling game. Explain. No one knows what you're doing. It's not. You're not like hiding it. No, 99% of our listeners have no idea what you're doing.
No, it was.
Just explain what you're doing with it. It's interesting stuff.
When I graduated from the University of Oklahoma, I made the decision that I was going to go out on tour for 6 weeks because I was working part-time at UPS. They made arrangements for me that I was going to take all my vacation, and I thought, okay, if I do really well, I'm just going to quit my job and I'm going to.
Did you bowl when you played ball? Because you played baseball at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
What did you play for 2 years at Oklahoma?
I was bowling.
Okay.
I was fishing.
Anyway, so you graduate.
I was doing all kinds of. Anyway, so I go out. I spent 6 weeks on tour. Back then, you had to do what they call the rabbit squads. You had to qualify just to get into the tournament. The qualifiers. I made 3 qualifiers. The other 3 I missed. I made my first 2, and then I missed the next 2 or the next 3, and then I made the final one. I got 2 checks, and I realized after that 6 week, I did not have what it took to be out there.
Talent-wise or money-wise or mental-wise?
All of the above. I was a mess. So I came back, and I still had my, at the time, part-time job at UPS, and I decided, okay, I'm going to go the corporate route. That wasn't for me. Here this year, a guy by the name of Steve Zavina, who's a really, really good friend of mine. It was 20 years ago this year that him and I won a massive doubles tournament here in Oklahoma. Very, very prestigious doubles tournament. And it was the 20th anniversary this year. And me and Steve were talking, hey, we need to make a comeback and we need to.
Is he your age too?
He's my age. Yeah.
Okay. So you're what, 54?
56.
You're 56?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think he's 53 maybe.
So still, I mean, you got good years ahead of you.
Yeah. So I told him, I said, dude, there's no way I'm going to be able to do it. I got to get in shape if I'm going to do this. It's kind of like you're just not going to fish a tournament and not having been on the water that you haven't fished for 19 years. It had been 19 years since I was even close to being a competitive bowler. So it got me interested. And Steve and I talked, and I made the decision. I made contact. Steve Wunderlich, who's been on the show, who is, a PBA champion, 3-time PBA champion, loves to bass fish. Spent some time with Steve. He listens to the show, watches it.
We need to get him back on, by the way. He was one of the best guests of 2018.
Yeah, and Steve has helped me out a ton. There's a lady by the name of Mandy Hawes here in Oklahoma that owns the bowling center that is allowing me to practice and not have to pay, because there is not a single senior tour, PBA senior tour bowler from Oklahoma. I mean, full time. There are a few that have bowled, but a guy by the name of Pete Thomas and a couple other people. So I just thought, I've mentioned on the show I have a very weird disease called MS, multiple sclerosis. I could wake up at any time and suddenly not be able to walk. Fortunately, my disease is under control, and it's been treated very well. The medicine that I'm taking seems to be working, but that risk is still there. So I just kind of thought, man, it's been a long, long time since I gave it a shot and didn't work. I have the flexibility now with being able to do this show with you, being able to teach, and the way that the PBA 50 schedule works out, I'm able to actually bowl the majority of the stops. So I have went all in, being dedicated to getting my body in the shape that it needs to be in, bowling 40, 50 games a week. A lady by the name of Anne-Marie Dugan, who's in the Women's Hall of Fame, is helping me with a lot of my equipment. And, I've got all the things in place, kind of like what you're trying to do, and very similar to all the people that you have helping you out, kind of reach your goal. Yeah, I'm late in life, but you know what, man? I think you've known me for so many years, Matthew. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right. And I think I am approaching this. And will I be thinking about Bob Maness? Absolutely. Have I thought about Bob Maness during this whole process? Absolutely. That's why it was so weird when we talked about the mentoring in the fishing world, that it just hit me really hard.
Well, I think that's
really did.
Universal with any, especially an individual pursuit like that. I mean, even in a team. So when's the first one?
I am actually going to try. There's an event in Waxahachie, Texas, that is a regional PBA 50 event, kind of like a Costa or kind of like an Open, that takes place in October. And if my body is in shape, and I feel that I can bowl that many games in consecutive, because I've had this back issue and it's getting better. So maybe in October will be my first one. They haven't announced the 2020 senior schedule yet, PBA 50 schedule. So when that happens, we'll see.
So is there a competitive drive in you that maybe kind of awoke a little bit?
Yeah, it was just like when I was fishing. And it doesn't matter, be it basketball, fishing, bowling, cornhole, it doesn't matter. That's just how I roll. And when it comes to business, a lot of people have, over the years, all the time that we've covered the Elite Series and having been out there, a lot of people thought that, oh, you're just an angry individual. And it was that it was that drive that I wanted to be the best, and I wanted to showcase how I think that we can showcase this sport of professional bass fishing in a different way that nobody else is doing it. And I want to be the best independent guy covering this event. And that's why I showed up at Lake Amistad with a laptop, 2 cameras, a cardboard box so I could see on the deck of the boat because of the sun shining to where I could actually see the laptop.
On Remit's one?
Yeah, the very first one.
Yeah.
So the drive of anything, and folks, I've kind of went off on a tangent, and I apologize.
You don't have to apologize for that. That's good. Hell, you're here 3 days a week for an hour a day. You could talk 15 minutes about your life, Mike.
I really hope that if anybody out there listening is striving to be a professional in this game, in this sport of professional bass fishing, that you have to have that drive and desire to be the best. And I'm so proud of you, Matthew, and I don't think I've ever said it on the show, but the drive and the dedication, and I know I give you some grief sometimes, but the amount of effort and time and preparation that you've put into trying to reach your objective through the Costas this year, dude, that's what everybody out there needs to do. They need to learn from what you have done, and everybody needs to put forth the effort. Effort is what drives anything. And I constantly talk about that to my kids, on the basketball team, and we have a theme this year, Matthew, and I'm kind of all over
one?
No, it's called Find a Way.
Yeah.
That's my theme this year for really everything that I'm doing going forward to 2020 is find a way. You have to find a way to win. Find a way to be successful. And that's kind of the motto. And I think that if any of the young kids are out there listening, and you just heard my story of, from when I was 7 to here I am an old man, I still have that drive and I still want to win. My goal is to win a senior event. I want to go out and perform at the level that I feel I've prepared myself to perform at.
But do you feel like you're going to be ready to win right off the bat?
No.
Or that's what I'm saying.
No.
So now we're getting back into full circle as far as what's a victory, what's failure. And I
Yeah.
think as you get further along in your journey,
Yeah.
you're going to start looking differently
Yeah.
at the fishing because you hadn't been in that and it's far removed. So you'll start seeing, hey, I made this cut. Hey, I bowled consistently 4 games in a row.
You're
hey,
dead
I
on,
cashed
Matthew.
a check.
You're dead on.
And then you'll say, oh, well, Jeffrey's finished 30th. And you're saying, dude, I finished 30th. And they're going to be going, well, that's 30th. They're going to be doing what you used to do with the fishing,
Yeah.
but you're going to be able to see that progress.
You know, and I'll
respect.
say this too. So many times what guys say on this show can be applied to so many more things than just fishing, Matthew.
Well, obviously, because you're talking, look at who we get to talk to and interview.
Yeah.
You get to interview guys who, we interview the successful ones. We interview some non-successful ones too, but we interview mainly successful ones. So they're their own small business owners.
Yeah.
They're very good at marketing and have incredible people skills. In order to do what they're doing, you have to have incredible driver passion.
Yeah.
And 98% of these guys have wanted to do this since they were 7 years old.
Yeah.
So they're living their dream too. So what you're doing is you were talking to a very small section of people, and I know it could be tough and stuff, but who are like really happy with their lives because they're actually doing what they wanted to do since they were little kids. And you can learn a lot from that because there's seems to be a fairly predictable group of steps that they've all taken to get to that. Now, when it does come down to it, what is the one thing that I've always said from the beginning? It's like I was listening to Mark Packer on ESPNU radio here, where he's like, you know, just play the game. You gotta catch damn fish.
Yeah.
That's still what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You have to catch fish. There's a bunch of guys. So you combine all that, and I mean, you're talking to guys who freaking have it together, or at least appear to have it together for the most part.
You know, I might be a total failure at this, but
it's not a failure because your journey, and that's what I'm saying. It's not a failure because you're still going to be growing and learning as a person. It's going to bring you satisfaction regardless of if you go out and throw 12 gutter balls in every single senior tour event that you're in. You're a different person because of the journey that's gotten there.
It's gotten me healthier. I mean, that's kind of a side note. It really has. And I mean, I was eating like crap. I was not taking care of my body, even though I have this weird disease. I was not doing the things necessary to extend my life. And I think a lot of people out there hopefully will learn from what I say about it here and there, that you only have one body, you got to take care of it. And I'm learning the hard way. And you know, it's cool, man. And I appreciate everybody out there at least tolerating what we've talked about this last 15, 20 minutes. It means a lot to me. This show means a lot to me. And what we've done, Matthew, in the 20 years, 20 plus years that we've been doing this gig, it means a tremendous amount to me and all the people that I've met and all the people that I've talked with and developed friendships over the years. But you got to find a way. Yeah. And I'm going to stick with that. And I think you're doing the right thing to find a way. And we will continue to find a way to have BTL continue to be, hopefully, the best live studio show and podcast that's out there covering this great game and sport of professional bass fishing. So, hey, without the fans, without the guys coming on here and opening up and answering, easy questions, tough questions, it's a platform that hopefully the fans can connect with what these guys have going on in their lives. All right. Wow, man, we got kind of deep there, dude.
You did. I just was asking. I literally was just asking because I'd heard certain parts of that, but there's a bunch of that I hadn't heard.
Yeah. So we'll see. Great. Many thanks to all the people out there. The feedback has been phenomenal on this show. We're passionate. We're passionate about what we do, and we put in much effort to hopefully give the fans what they want and take care of the sponsors and respect the anglers and give them a platform to showcase what they do.
What are we doing next week?
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on some stuff. I'd really like to get the agent on.
Let's do that. And then I got a message before and stuff. I doubt this is probably a 5% chance of this actually happening. I'd love to get Scott Martin on to talk about that sim fishing game.
Yeah. We can work on that. And then
what do you think? I mean, I think he's a 3-month out booking, don't you?
Probably.
I mean, he's not He's like a YouTube star. Not fishing, like YouTube.
Oh, I know.
Like we're talking like mainstream star.
I know. I'm with you,
You
man.
want to talk about growing the sport and bringing people into it, that's what Scott's doing.
Yeah.
That's what his crew is doing.
Yeah.
With Brandon and
It's
Billy and
impressive,
everyone
man.
that he brings in.
It's really, really impressive what the dude is doing. So we will work on that. Check out BassZone.com on Sunday evening. I always try to have the schedule for the following week posted on Sunday evening, and we will go from there. All right, Matthew, have fun on the water this weekend. Everybody be safe. By the way, next week we're going to talk about what we are going to do for a guest host.
Yeah, because I'll be gone the next 2 weeks, also leading into the final regular season event of the Bassmaster Elite Series on Lake Tenkiller. So we will probably have some analysis heading into that thing that kicks off, and then I'll actually be there for a couple of days of the weigh-in to check things out.
Yeah.
So.
All right, great stuff. Everybody be safe. Enjoy the lake. Get on the water. Spend some time out there. I know it's kind of hot, but fall will be here soon, folks. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you for all the feedback. We will talk to you next week. We're out of here.